D-Town back again with another topping deck profile. I did play in the remote regional today at the side deck. There was 113 people, so it was pretty small. And we got third place. We went 6 wins, 1 loss, and the loss was to the gentleman who got second place. So, I'm going to go over this deck profile. I just want to preface and say thank you to the Australian chaps that made this deck. I essentially copy pasted the main deck. The side deck's a bit different, but the extra and the main is the same. I really like what they did with the deck. I think it covers the weaknesses well, and you guys will see that here in a minute. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail during the profile. I also did go to the 250th YCS in LA. I ended 8-4. Round 12, I threw against Branded. I had a play to lock down the game, and I didn't make it. But even if I won, I would have been 9-3. Still would have missed top cut. But it was great. It was fun making day 2. My first really big YCS and second in-person YCS. Got to see some people. Some of my online friends, and just put the face to the name. And yeah, so anyways, I'm going to get into this deck profile. So, starting with the monsters, we have a Kashtira Ogre, Kashtira Scareclaw, 2 Rise Heart, 3 Fenrir, and 3 Unicorn, and then we have 3 Ash for the hand traps. So, I thought about cutting Ash, but Ash is just a nice defensive card, and it can also be offensive. Because I do play Baron A in the extra deck. That does come up sometimes, like mid-game. You have like a lone Fenrir or Scareclaw or a Unicorn that gets impermed or Veilered, and sometimes it just helps you finish out the game in a simplified game state. Or if you just draw double Ash and you have a way to make a Baron on top of an Arise Heart or something else, I think it's a nice play. 2 Rise Heart because 3 feels bricky to me sometimes and 1 doesn't feel like enough. And then Ogre, I think Ogre's good. It's worth playing. I thought about playing the tier cache, but I said, you know what? These guys, they did well with this list. I'm going to just basically try it out card for card on the main deck. Because I did play tier cache at YCS past LA, and I felt like it went well, and it did come up, but there was other times where I bricked on it. So going into the spells, we have the Duster, Terraforming, Triple Planet, Double Prosperity, 1 Desires, 3 Talents, 3 Thrust, 2 Theosis, and 3 Birth. So, Duster, I didn't draw it going second at all. I drew it going first once. I didn't need it. I ended up winning the game. But I could see this coming up sometimes, especially if you don't want to have to zoo someone's board to clear all their back row, like a Cashmere. Or Lab or Sprite, where they have 2 or 3 sets and you just want to wipe it before you start working on their board, or just post, clearing the monsters, you want to just wipe up any back row, lingering back row. Terraforming, Triple Planet, self-explanatory. Desires, the one of, I like their explanation they gave in the video. Poe and JoJo ASMR, those guys. One of Desires, I could see that making sense, just because you're not really going to play the second one typically in a game, and you really don't want to. And I did resolve it twice. I drew it twice, and it was great both times. Prosperity, I got ashed once, but when it resolved, it was good. Talents and Thrust were iffy. Thrust did win me 1 game, but it was also dead 2 other games. Talents let me hand rip twice, and that was about it. It really, there was times where I had it with Prosperity, which is kind of awkward. For being able to draw with it. And then Theosis, 2 Theosis, I think that's arguably correct. The third one just doesn't really seem to come up for me very much. And then 3 Birth, self-explanatory. Moving into the traps. So this is where I feel like the deck excels. So the Big Bang, 3 Strike, 3 Judgment, 3 Imperm. So I felt like playing hand traps at my YCS LA list. I felt like playing a lot of level 3s like my buddy Slashy was doing. My list was more similar to his than any other list that I saw, because I played a lot of hand traps at level 3s. and I played 2 Barons in the extra in that list. And the second one did come up one time, but I felt like making talents live all the time when a lot of people were playing that card was kind of bad. And also, sometimes hand traps just don't do enough. Like against decks like Sprite, that deck is insanely resilient. And so cards like this that just kind of stop a huge play or like a big investment, like they've compiled like 2 or 3 bodies to make a certain play, like to make an Xyz or go into some kind of link play. Same thing with MathMech, like building up a big guy or investing a lot of resources into a guy and then just stopping it with one card is huge. Or like some blowout cards, like they have their own talents to steal your Rise Hard, or they have Evenly or something to that effect. So these cards performed well. Judgment saved me once. I stopped a summon, and then Strike, I think it saved me like 3-4 times. I negated the summon of Abaxia against a Sword Soul guy. Against Sprite, he gammaed one of my monster effects on his turn. He had nothing. And I struck the gamma, and he basically just lost. I mean, these cards are insane. So yeah, anyways, that's enough about that. That's the traps. Moving on to the extra deck. 1 Donner, 1 Baronet, 1 Fossil, 1 Garura, 1 Dada, 1 number 89, 2 Big Eye, 2 Shang'ira, 2 Zeus, and the 3 Arise Heart. Pretty self-explanatory. I did get Iblied once. I kind of wish that I played an Ibli out. So like maybe 1, maybe 2 more Link monsters. I feel like the most cuttable card. I didn't use Big Eye a single time today. I played 1 mirror match. So maybe cut 1 Big Eye. The extra deck monsters came up 0 times. I do understand because they came up for me before, like at YCS in LA. They did come up for me, but like a couple times. But this time they came up not at all. And honestly, I think you could arguably, fit in some link cards or something like that to give you some more utility during the game. So anyways, that's that. Moving on. Side deck, 3 Shifter. If you're not playing this, you're crazy in Kashtira. The card's insane. I think the card just gets even better next format. Hopefully Kashtira doesn't get hit too hard, and if it does, any deck that can play a Shifter, I think is going to be in a really good place. That's a decent deck. 2 Bell. This card stopped a single super factorial. To me, that made it worth it. It also stops Bystials. I did play against a Bystial today, and in round 7. And then Droll Knockbird. This card I did use this against, I believe, a MathMech. No, I used it against a Bystial Dragon Link player. I resolved Shifter against MathMech, which was huge. So that's the monsters. 1 DDG. Playing Thrust. This card is searchable. I don't know why people aren't playing this. I haven't seen this in any lists, any topping lists. I don't know why you wouldn't play it. So many decks lose without their monsters hitting grave, and it's just for the turn, which is oftentimes enough. So you thrust into it, you side it in going first, you set it, and even if they break your Rise Hard or break your board open, they're probably not killing you with this in play. It'd be very unlikely for them to do so. 2D Barrier, this probably should have just been 1, and I think Magical Deflector is a good replacement for one of these. If you just want another good one of going first card, you could also do a Pointer. I think that would have been a better choice than playing the 2BD Barrier. I played against 1 Branded. Unfortunately, he bricked pretty bad game 1 and game 2. Like I drew pretty strong, so this didn't really come up much except against Sword Soul and Branded. Spells, 1 Lightning Storm, and then 2 Dark Ruler No More. This was 3, but I thought, and JoJo ASMR and those guys' list, they had 3 and 3. I felt like with Thrust, you just don't need that many. But because I do respect Sprite, so I did think 2 is fine. But 2 of these plus 3 Thrust, that's like 5 copies. And then last but not least, the Kurakara. I was going to put in Nib, but I decided against it because I feel like it conflicts with Kashtira, and I'd rather have a card like this that I contribute a couple guys on average, and 4,500 hit him to the face, even if I don't kill him, end phase special something out. So, yeah, anyways, that's the side deck. That is the deck profile. And that's all. So, I hope to continue to top. I plan on playing in like the remote extravaganza coming up next weekend, and then the YCS that's coming up in the summer, the remote YCS. I don't think I'm going to make it to Philly, probably not Nats either, but I do want to continue to play in these larger events. I look forward to any feedback you guys have. I want to continue to do better at the game, and yeah, thank you for the support, and that's D-Town with another topping deck profile. Have a good day.